Okay, so I want to kick off the show today by talking about the NFL draft because obviously the draft is rapidly approaching all of us. Now, several days ago, I released my official 2021 NFL mock draft. I went through all 32 picks and I told you all what I personally would do. And with the draft, being almost here, I'm going to make a couple of changes to my mock draft and I'm going to give you my official final 2021 NFL mock draft. The bad news is I'm not going to do all 32 picks just because I feel like the top 10, the top 15 picks are the most relevant picks. So I'm going to tell you in the top 10 which picks from my initial mock draft I would change based on what I talked about last time. So let's go over my initial mock draft from last time, the top 10. So, at number one overall, and by the way, this is what I personally would do. I played the role of general manager. I wasn't trying to predict what teams were going to do. This is what I would do. So, in my initial mock draft, I had Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars, Justin Fields going to the Jets, Trey Lance going to the 49ers, Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons, Penei Sewell going to the Bengals, Devontae Smith going to the Dolphins, Jamar Chase going to the Lions, Patrick Surtain going to the Panthers, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah going to the Denver Broncos, and J.C. Horn going to the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so that was my initial top 10. Here's my revised and official final mock draft based on what I would do. There are a couple of changes. Let's talk about it. Let's start off with the first three picks. Trevor Lawrence going to the Jaguars, Justin Fields going to the Jets, and Trey Lance going to the 49ers. I believe these are the three most talented quarterbacks in this entire draft, and I could see a scenario where all three of those guys end up becoming great franchise quarterbacks. Now, maybe that's possible, maybe it's not, but when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, comparing him to Justin Fields and Trey Lance, I believe that he has the least potential to bust. While he may not quite have the upside of a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance, even though you could argue his upside is higher, I think his upside is very similar, but his floor is much, much higher than those guys. So anytime I could get a guy with an extremely high floor and very high upside as well, I'm not going to pass on that guy. I consider Trevor Lawrence a generational talent. People compare him to Peyton Manning and John Elway in the past. I'm not going to do that, but I'm not going to be the guy that passes on a generational talent in Trevor Lawrence. I'm definitely going to turn that card in with no hesitation. And then, like I said, Justin Fields and Trey Lance, to me, listen, I'm not the biggest Mac Jones fan, even though I do like what Mac Jones brings to the table. I shouldn't say I'm not a big Mac Jones fan. It's just one of those things where I believe in Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance's talent more so than a Mac Jones and a Zach Wilson. And I think Justin Fields, he'll be able to handle that New York media, and handle the spotlight with the Jets. The Jets need a significant upgrade over what Sam Darnold was, and I believe Justin Fields is that guy. I would take him over Trey Lance just simply because I think he's much more NFL ready at this point. And while I'm willing to develop a quarterback, sometimes when you try to develop a quarterback, it doesn't work, But Trey Lance, he goes to San Francisco. It'd be a slam dunk move for the 49ers. Trey Lance has everything you look for in a great franchise quarterback. His processor, his arm strength, his mobility, decision making. He'd be a great pick for the 49ers. And like I said in the past, I believe the Falcons should draft a quarterback if Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance are on the board. But Kyle Pitts is available, and I don't think Zach Wilson or Mac Jones are talented enough to take this high. I'd rather build around Matt Ryan for another couple of years. So Kyle Pitts, he'd be a great fit in that offense. People are arguing he might be the best player in the draft. Now, a couple of changes at 5, 6, and 7. I'm on the Jamar Chase to the Cincinnati Bengals hype train officially now. It took me a while to get on that hype train, but listen, here's the thing. I love Penei Sewell, and I do believe Penei Sewell would be a great fit for the Dolphins at number 6. So that's why I have him going to the Miami Dolphins. I believe that Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback that needs protection to go through his reads and scan the field. He's had injuries in the past. He's not the most mobile guy, so I need to protect Tua Tagovailoa. I can get another wide receiver or another playmaker at number 18 overall in this draft or later in the draft. I already signed Will Fuller. So Penei Sewell, to me, makes the most sense for the Dolphins. And this offensive line class is super duper deep. So if I'm Cincinnati, I'm going to address my offensive line issues later in the draft, and I'm not going to pass on an opportunity to draft Ja'Marr Chase, a guy that had a special connection with Joe Burrow at LSU a year ago. I'm a big believer in Joe Burrow, and I believe Ja'Marr Chase can change the Cincinnati Bengals offense more than Penei Sewell can, at least initially. And I do believe, like I said, you can address the offensive line later, so I have Ja'Marr Chase going to the Bengals. I'm officially on that hype train. I'm willing to take that risk and pass on the offensive lineman. Devontae Smith has 7 to the Lions. They have one of the worst wide receiver corps in all of football right now. Jared Goff desperately needs weapons, so I go with Devontae Smith. I think he's a phenomenal route runner. He's a guy that I believe has star potential, and I think he's going to do some good things in Detroit if, used the right way and things of that nature. And the last couple of picks are defensive players. At number 8 overall, I got Patrick Surtain going to the Panthers. I believe the Carolina Panthers need another defensive back to really complete that defensive unit. I think Patrick Surtain can be a number 1 defensive back in the NFL one day. He'd be a great pick. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a playmaking linebacker that the Denver Broncos desperately need in the middle of their defense. Vic Fangio loves to move around his linebackers. And listen, you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. You need dynamic players that are versatile, that can rush the passer, that can tackle in open space and cover guys downfield. I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a perfect fit for the Broncos. And last but not least, J.C. Horn to the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a pretty good offense when healthy, but that secondary is not very good. They need a bona fide playmaker at the cornerback position. J.C. Horn is long. He's lengthy. He reminds me a little bit of Richard Sherman, even though I'm not going to go that far as comparing him to Richard Sherman, but he's long, he's lengthy, he has great instincts, and he has good enough ball skills to the point where I'm comfortable drafting him high enough at number 10 overall. He'd be a great pick for the Cowboys. So there you have it right there. That's my official, top 10 mock draft, for 2021. Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback Clemson, goes to the Jaguars. Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State, goes to the Jets. Trey Lance, the quarterback out of North Dakota State, goes to the 49ers. Kyle Pitts, the tight end / wide receiver out of Florida, goes to the Falcons. Ja'Marr Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, to the Bengals. Penei Sewell, offensive lineman out of Oregon, goes to the Dolphins. Devontae Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama, former Heisman Trophy winner. He goes to the Detroit Lions. Patrick Surtain, cornerback out of Alabama, to the Carolina Panthers. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker out of Notre Dame, to the Denver Broncos. And J.C. Horn rounds out the top 10. He's a quarterback from South Carolina. So that's my official mock draft right there. Draft season is very fun. And yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about players in the top 10 and where they should go. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.